Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelsey and I'm here today to do my June TBR. So it is currently June 6th. I have read some books, I have started some vlogs, but I'm here just to go over my reading plans for the month. So we'll start with talking about some of the vlogs that I want to bring to you guys this month. I have a couple of arcs that I need to read, a couple of books that have already come out or are coming out this month. So I'll go over like one or two books that are coming out in those vlogs. So the first vlog will be the arc vlog. I plan to read a book called The Adult by Bronwyn Fisher. This is a coming of age story following a character named Natalie as she enters college for the first time. She's attending one of the major colleges in Toronto, and while she is struggling to find herself, struggling to make friends, she gets into this weird relationship dynamic with an older woman named Nora. Another arc that I plan to read for this vlog is a book called Sparrow by James Hines. I've heard some really good things about this book. I don't remember who I heard it from, but the minute I heard the synopsis, I was very down to read it. It tells the story of a boy named Jacob who is son of no one, last survivor of an abandoned British Roman town. Raised in a brothel on the Spanish coasts in the waning years of the Roman Empire, a boy of no known origin creates his own identity. So this seems to be a historical fiction, literary fiction. It seems very dark. It involves some darker themes. So I'm excited to look at both of these arcs. I also have two other arcs that I plan to read for this vlog. One is more of a fantasy romance retelling, and another one seems to be a like science fiction-y comedy book. So I feel like all of these four books will provide really interesting discussions. They're all incredibly different from one another, so I'm very excited for that vlog. I also have a 5-star prediction video that I'm excited for and already starting to work on. I have 3 books scheduled for that vlog, but the one I'll be talking about in this TBR is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. I'm very excited to pick this one up. If you've been following my channel for a while, you might know that R.F. Kuang is one of my favorite authors. Every book I've read from R.F. Kuang I have given 5 stars, so I don't think this will be any different. Yellowface tells the story of 2 rising star authors, one named June and one named Athena. As they start to write their books, Athena is quickly becoming one of the star bestseller writers, and June is quickly becoming a nobody. However, one day June witnesses Athena's death in a freak accident and steals her manuscript and tries to pass it off as her own. So R.F. Kuang, I know going into this book, is discussing themes of the publishing industry, themes of racism in the literary world. Very excited to pick this up. It is so different from things that R.F. Kuang has written before. So I'm really excited to see how she tackles this. And that is along with 2 other books I plan to read for this vlog. So I'm super excited. And if you would like to know my thoughts on any of those books and any of the other books that I will be reading in those vlogs, they will be coming to you in the remaining days of June. In regards to other content that I will be creating this month, the Kiss and Tell book club for the month of June is Damaged Like Us by Krista and Becca Ricci. This is a romance book club I host with my friends Dorothy, Zoe, and Jenny, and we always try to have a live show at the end of every month talking about our books of the month. Damaged Like Us seems to be a bodyguard romance, which is really exciting because I don't think I've read a bodyguard romance before, so I'm excited to dive in. It follows a man named Maximoff Hale, who is a 22-year-old alpha billionaire. He's born into one of the most famous families in the country. His celebrity status began at birth. He's basically certified American royalty, and he is assigned a 24/7 bodyguard named Sparrow, who has one job, and that job is to protect Maximoff. And it seems that together the boundaries blur. A romance occurs, obviously. Excited to read this. It seems very different from anything I've read before, so looking forward to that, hoping that I love it. After that, another thing I am kicking off this month is the Professor Kelseys book club. This is a book club I used to host with my 2 friends, Justin and Bobby, and then it kind of died down when I got lazy. This will be a live show I will host on my channel, and it's basically like a little play on being in a classroom. I'm the professor. I have an English degree, so they trust me. The book that we will be reading, however, is Light of the Jedi by Charles Soule. We read a couple of like very philosophical and like meaningful books for the book club previously, and we were like, let's just have a fun book to read and talk about. Light of the Jedi takes place in the High Republic, and this is a moment in the Star Wars canon that is before what we know of Star Wars. So before like Anakin and all of that, the rising time of the Jedi is what we're focusing on in these specific books. So if you see a book that says the High Republic, it'll never feature characters that you know, because it'll always be before whatever canon the movies have created. So long before the First Order, before the Empire, before the Clone Wars, Jedi lit the way for the galaxy in the High Republic. When a shocking catastrophe in hyperspace tears a ship to pieces, the flurry of shrapnel emerging from the disaster threatens an entire system. No sooner does the call for help go out than the Jedi race to the scene. The scope of the emergence, however, is enough to push even the Jedi to their limit, and the sky breaks open and destruction rains down upon the peaceful alliance they helped to build. The Jedi must trust in the Force to see them through the day in which a single mistake could cost billions of lives. So I don't know anything about this. Obviously, if I read the back, I don't know any of the characters that appear in this, and I have read some High Republic books before. They're not my favorite in the Star Wars canon. I think I'm very much like comfortable in what I know about Star Wars, and branching out kind of scares me a little bit. But if there are characters that I've seen before in the High Republic books, I'll make sure to jot that down. I'm excited to just get into a very fun Star Wars book. I've heard really good things about this book, so I'm hoping that I enjoy it. A reread I plan to do this month is of my favorite series, the A Darker Shade of Magic series by V.E. Schwab. V.E. Schwab is currently running a read-along on her YouTube, and I've been wanting to reread the series anyways, and what better time than to hear everything analyzed by my favorite author who wrote my favorite series in her own words with her own thoughts. So I'm very, very excited to like kind of participate in this read along. But basically the Dark Shade of Magic series follows a man named Kel, and Kel is one of the Antari in this world. They are kind of like wizards really in a sense, and they are able to pass through the 4 different Londons. So in this world, London is kind of like divided in like parallel universes, you could say. There's Grey London, which is kind of, you have to think of it as like our London. There's no magic. Magic is kind of like an imagination, kind of a fantasy in this world. Then you have Red London, that's where Kel is from, and that's very magic focused, magic centric. Everything runs on magic basically. Then you have the 2 worlds, White and Black London. Black London was taken over by magic to the point that it is desolate. It is burnt. There is nothing there anymore. White London is on its way to be kind of Black London. Magic is still overrun. It's very like evil. Magic isn't there to really help them. It's really taken over. So those are the 4 different Londons that the Antari are able to travel to. Kel is the only one that's really allowed. One day when Kel is in Grey London and smuggling some form of magic to the hands of people who believe in magic in Grey London, he accidentally takes back a girl from Grey London named Lila. And that's kind of how the story takes off from there. This is my favorite series. It really got me kickstarted into fantasy. It would be the 3rd or 4th time I read the series, so nothing in here is going to shock me. But what I really want to do is annotate it, see how I feel coming into this kind of fresh, because I haven't read it, I feel like, in 4 years, and then maybe make a video where I go over my old annotations, maybe compare them to V.E. Schwab's annotations. I have big dreams for this analysis. In the end, I'm just really excited to pick this up and reread it. Then I have 2 YA books that I would like to read this month. If you watched my January TBR, I did kind of talk about some goals that I have for the year, and one of those goals is to really tackle my young adult TBR. I have quite a bit of young adult books, and I'm not really reading them anymore because I just have not been in the mood to read from young adult books. So one of my goals this year is to really tackle that TBR, at least dwindle it down a little bit, try to fall in love with some YA books. And I have 2 here that I'm attempting to enjoy. Will I enjoy them? I don't really know. The first of the YA books is the first book in the Eldest Curses series called The Red Scrolls of Magic. This is part of the Shadowhunters universe, and it is written by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu. What I believe is that these books fit in between the different Shadowhunters books, but following Magnus and Alec. I won't get too into the plot of this novel because I do think if you haven't read the Shadowhunters series, it's kind of a spoiler what happens in these books. You definitely have to read them. But essentially it's following Alec, who is a Shadowhunter, and Magnus, who is a Warlock, and what they are doing in between the series. I think this takes place between the Shadowhunters and the like Lady Midnight series, but I could be wrong. I'll only know like once I dive into this. I'm apprehensive to read this because I have grown very, very, very out of love with Cassandra Clare. I don't want to continue the Shadowhunters world. This is the last book I have on my TBR that is somewhat anyway related to the Shadowhunters universe. I want to read this. I want to give it a try because Alec and Magnus are 2 of my favorite characters from the Shadowhunters universe. So I'm hoping that I will at least enjoy this series a little bit and maybe continue in it, but really It's more to just get this off my TBR. And then the next book is a bit more of an exciting one. It is Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. This was a really, really, really big YA release in 2019, I feel like. 2020. Everybody really, really enjoyed this book. It sounds really good, so I'm very excited to read it. So when Yadriel's traditional Latinx family has problems accepting his gender, he becomes determined to prove himself as a real brujo. With the help of his cousin and best friend Maritza, he performs the Quinces ritual himself and then sets out to find the ghost of his murdered cousin Miguel and set it free. However, the ghost he summons is actually Julian, the school's resident bad boy, and Julian is not about to go quietly into death. He's determined to find out what happened and tie up some loose ends before he leaves. Left with no choice, Yadriel agrees to help Julian so that they can both get what they want. But the longer Yadriel spends with Julian, the less he wants to let him leave. Sounds really cute, sounds really fun. I'm very excited just to pick this up, get into this world. I really, really hope I enjoy the explorations of gender and what Aiden Thomas wants to discuss in this book. Looking forward to it. Again, I've heard nothing but really excellent things, so I have high hopes for this one. And then because we are getting into summer, although here in Montreal it's been very hot, extremely hot, and it feels like summer already, but I wanted to read some books that give me summery vibes, and I found this book that was given to me by Penguin Random House last year, I believe, and it's called Uncertain Kin by Janice Lynn Mather. I don't know much about this book, but like, this cover gives me summer vibes, so that's why I want to read it, really. Set against the vivid backdrop of the Bahamas, these 18 luminous and haunting stories introduce us to women and girls searching for certainty and belonging as they navigate profound upheaval. The characters are bold and big-hearted, complex and intimately familiar. They grapple with bonds of kinship and the relationships of parenthood with grief, longing, betrayal, coming of age, and what it means to be a woman. This seems to be Janice Lynn Mather's debut novel. So if it's amazing, I would love to like talk about it, promote it. Just the design of the book is really, really, really beautiful. Like I love the covers, and it sounds like it's going to have very impactful and very meaningful stories. So very looking forward to this. And that's it. Those are all of the many books I would like to read in the month of June. If you've read any of these books, did you like them? Did you hate them? Let me know down below in the comments. Of course, if you would like to follow my journey in real time and not wait for my vlogs or my wrap-ups, you can follow me at any of my other social medias. I do leave a link down below to my Twitter, Goodreads, and Instagram if you would like to follow me there. And of course, because it is the end of the video, please do not forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. I tell you every time, but it does wonders for my channel. It makes me feel really good. And that's it. I never know how to end these things, but I will see you next time. Okay, bye!